Snow, have you raided in Dark Mental yet? Snow, how is Dark Mental performing? Snow, I heard Dark Mental was bad. Snow, I heard Dark Mental was good. Snow, is there any new Dark Mental information? Okay guys, I didn't want to make this video, but I'm going to make it anyway for my own sanity, just so that I can have my Twitch chat bot link it every time someone asks this question about Dark Mental during my streams. So I'm going to break down step by step why Dark Mental is performing well, what makes it perform well, why this is exactly to be expected, and why we've known this data since phase 4. Nothing has changed. Some people just seem to be getting mixed up about what to expect from Dark Mental, so let's break it down, and this is what we know. As always, this video is brought to you by you guys. Once per week, I add a bonus Rogue video guide for Twitch subscribers in an extra channel of my Discord. You can get these extra guides by going to twitch.tv/snowme and hitting that sub button. This week's sub video is a first look at AQ40, breaking down what we found works and what isn't working. So help support Classic Roguecraft and get yourself some extra Rogue tutorials by going over to twitch.tv/snowme and hitting that sub button. Okay, first things first, let's clear up the rumors. 1. Dark Mental did not perform poorly on PTR. Okay, so some people have been saying this, some people have been confused by this. In fact, here's the data of a proper PTR test done by Roxa from the Rogue Discord, who did an actual control test with hours of static auto-attacking with different speed weapons to determine the actual data for Dark Mental proc rate. Here's what we found. The results of this control PTR test shows that Dark Mental has a proc rate of 1 proc per minute per weapon, exactly the same proc rate as Shadowcraft, which was literally what was used to calculate the Dark Mental performance in my first Dark Mental video way back in phase 4. If you want the logs for Roxa's PTR testing, they are linked in the description below, so you can check them out for yourself. But basically, this is why I never made a follow-up Dark Mental explanation video. Roxa's testing literally tested Dark Mental proc rate after PTR came up, and the proc rate showed no new information. Dark Mental was proven to be good by these tests once we know that the proc rate is what we expected, so the sims were correct, and Dark Mental is good. So I'll say this again, there has been no new information discovered on PTR or in phase 5. Even now in phase 5, Dark Mental is showing the exact same proc rate as we assumed in phase 4. Nothing has changed, it's still using the exact same proc rate as the Shadowcraft set. It was expected to be good based on that 1 proc per minute per weapon math, and this has stayed the same since phase 4, the same on PTR, and now is the same in phase 5. Also note that for those who are new to the concept of 1 proc per minute in Classic, it doesn't mean that you only get 1 proc per minute, or it doesn't mean that this is your maximum proc rate. This is just the base proc rate that gets modified then by having 2 weapons, by having extra attack speed, and by the speed of your overall weapons. So when I say 1 proc per minute, it doesn't mean it's actually limited to only procking once per minute. That's just kind of a starting point. Okay, so point 2, how much procs do you need for Dark Mental to be worth using over phase 4 BIS? So Dark Mental actually only needs roughly 2 procs per minute of fighting in order for it to beat phase 4 BIS. So a lot of people are under the assumption that if they get Dark Mental, they should see a ton of procs every single fight, and they're going to see some crazy energy and DPS returns, and they're going to go God mode, and it's going to be super noticeable. That's not how this works, okay? So sure, you can get crazy God mode RNG and proc 10 times in one fight to get a crazy pass with Dark Mental, but the reality is you really only need about 2 procs in 60 seconds of fighting for it to already be beating phase 4 best in slot. And on average, this will happen. Now this doesn't mean that every fight or every raid that you wear Dark Mental, you feel some crazy DPS increase. Rather, if you get average luck and get a couple procs here, a couple procs there, you're already beating phase 4 BIS gear DPS on average, and it's not going to be a super noticeable thing. So if you want some math, here's the quick chart Simon from the Rogue Discord made. Notice here at 2 procs, Dark Mental is already ahead of phase 4 BIS for this Rogue spec. So basically what I'm trying to say is you don't need, or rather you shouldn't feel some crazy DPS increase by wearing Dark Mental. We're not talking about a 1 or 200 DPS increase that is super noticeable. We're talking about a DPS increase from gear, which is typically not something that you're going to feel. It's a DPS increase on average, and unless you go into that God mode RNG, the procs will be spread out a little bit apart and you shouldn't really feel any major differences. Now you can still have those crazy RNG moments such as this Nefarian kill from Surveillant with 490 energy gain from Dark Metal procs alone. But on average, this isn't going to happen most fights, and most rogues aren't going to be able to feel some immediate change just because the Dark Metal proc once or twice in a quick fight. This is just like how if you get an item that gives you a 10 DPS increase, such as a Cthulhu belt, a lot of rogues know it's a DPS increase, but you won't necessarily feel the DPS increase immediately. It's little DPS increases here, little DPS increases there that slowly stack up and form a bigger DPS increase overall. Point 3. Snow. I procced 10 times on one boss. Dark Mental is amazing. Or Snow. I didn't proc at all on one boss. Dark Mental sucks. So this is going to happen with Dark Mental. It's called RNG and it does average out eventually. If you want a more consistent or reliable look at how Dark Metal is performing, you want to look at the full raids where procs tend to average out between all the Dark Metal users and all the Dark Metal procs that those said users had. So for example, I talked to Feyenzi, the rogue class lead in Progress, one of the top guilds in Classic WoW, and it's where I've been leveling my EU rogue these days, and he said Xander and Zeratul are generally the top 2 performing rogues, and they happen to be similarly geared and both the same spec with Dark Mental right now. So let's look at the Dark Mental energy gains from Progress's first AQ run. So if I click on one particular boss, the procs are going to vary, right? Because there's a lot of RNG for such a short duration that it's not going to be the same for all of these different rogues using Dark Metal. But once we look at the full run, including trash DPS, the Dark Metal procs tends to even out a lot more, and we can kind of see a better picture for the Dark Metal energy gains over an entire raid. So after accounting for wasted energy, we can see between Feyenzi, Xander, and Zeratul, they all gained an effective usage of 2300 to 2500 energy just from Dark Metal procs over the course of the entire AQ raid. So that's a lot of energy gained over the entire raid. Now the more data and sample size that we get, the more Dark Metal will average out to what the math says. Dark Metal is ultimately a decent DPS increase on average, which is particularly good to have from gear that you can pick up outside of raiding. Again, I repeat so that everyone understands, there has been no new information on Dark Metal. It's performing great, it's performing exactly the same as we've expected so far, and these logs have shown that the data we have used is correct, and it's going to continue to be the same in Phase 4, in PTR, and in Phase 5 now. AKA nothing has changed since my first Dark Metal video. So, basically what I'm saying is if you are a min-maxer rogue who wants to pass, Dark Metal is a great pickup for early Phase 5. Not only does it give you a DPS upgrade on average, but it gives you tons of gearing flexibility where you can swap different pieces in and out. There's also the occasional fight where you do sometimes go God mode and you get that crazy huge pass with lucky energy proc RNG, like what we saw in Surveillance Nefarian fight here with 490 energy gained from Dark Metal in one fight alone. Now that all said, who shouldn't get Dark Metal? I'd say mostly casual players who maybe don't have the time to farm it or the gold to buy it. They shouldn't get Dark Metal because they simply won't have the time to commit to the Dark Metal grind. And that's perfectly okay because they're not the min-max type of player. Or maybe some of you guys are like my friend Bobka, who picked up full tier 2.5 on his first AQ run. Then Dark Metal obviously becomes kind of whatever at that point. But for real, congrats Bobka. Me and him are actually working together soon on some content, so you'll probably see him pop up in some future videos shortly. Alright guys, so I hope that cleared up any confusions. Long story short, Dark Metal is great and performing exactly as expected. If you want to know which Dark Metal pieces you should use, then you can check out my original Dark Metal guide or video, linked below, which lists gear combination suggestions as well as the rough DPS changes for each slot of Dark Metal. As always, if you're not subbed on YouTube yet, hit that subscribe button and throw us a like. It helps the YouTube algorithm recommend this video to more rogues who can use this information. Okay, take care guys. I will catch you in the next video. or you can catch me on stream at twitch.tv/snowme.